All right. We are here today with Joshua.
Hey.
We are on the Art on Blast podcast. We are here doing the things. As you guys know, we are literally going to be talking about artist stories. They're going to be talking about how they started, where they're going, and why they do what they do.
Yeah.
And where does God fit in all of that? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Joshua.
Well, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are nice. My name is Joshua. In fact, I'm gonna start again. I am Joshua. I've started reintroducing myself by saying I am Joshua because that in itself has become like the identity. I think. Quick side part here. Sometimes we identify ourselves by what we do more than who we are.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
So now, like, realizing that, I was like, dude, I am Joshua, almost in every sense of the way. Joshua from the Bible, very iconic figure. But then I've realized after doing a lot of reflection and seeing who I am, like, I'm that guy. I'm that guy, pal. So yeah, I am Joshua, born and bred in the east side of Johannesburg. A multifaceted creative who just does what he wants.
Come on.
Also, I just don't believe in, being bound to one thing. I'm a lover of the concept of the Renaissance man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
Yeah, somebody who isn't bound by one thing. Somebody who has become enlightened to being able to specialize in a lot of things, So I'm fascinated. There's this quote that a lot of people say, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Right?
I was literally thinking about that now.
Exactly, right? And I remember a few years ago, I'd actually found out that that's not the full saying.
Yeah, it's not the complete, yeah.
And so it's jack of all trades is master of none, but often and most is better than some.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, subscribe. Yeah. So
Premium, let's go.
Yeah. So that's in a nutshell. That's who I am. I am someone who's just subscribes to everything that I feel like. If I love interior design, I will want to do it. All right. Music, production, creative development, art direction for Mikael Matthews, and so much more. But I'm a brother.
Hey.
I'm a boyfriend.
You better.
And I'm a leader, and I'm a friend. Yeah, that is who I is.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and accepting the invite.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And sharing your story. So now, obviously you've said that you have multiple things that you do. What are the few things that you actually do? I know you mentioned a few.
Yeah.
Will you be able to take us through all of those things?
So of current, and I'll say it that way, of current, what's on my radar is music production. I'm a lover, like deep lover of music.
Come on.
One of my favorite movies is August Rush.
Okay, yeah.
It's actually where like my stage name, social name, whatever, originated from. And it is with this, it's just this deep fascination with music and being able to feel it everywhere you go. And so, I do music production, write songs, little bit of vocals, and then I also am art director for a brand, Mikael Matthews, which is doing quite well. Big shout out to my boy Mikael. You see the t-shirt, you see the drip, you see the special cloth. It's not the number one. It's not the number one. So yeah, I am art director for Mikael Matthews.
And what has that role required from you? What does an art director actually do?
It's a mixture of conceptualization, and then the rollout of delivery. So what does concept look like to the people? Like
Okay.
when you execute a concept, what does that look like? How is it delivered? How is it packaged to the world? Are you, it is, yeah, I think that's actually, I'm proud of myself.
You better be.
Hey, what I did right there, that's good. I don't need to say more. No, that like in a nutshell, that's basically what it is. It is how well can you package a concept and what does that look like in being executed to people. So you're talking, whether it be on billboard, whether it be in graphics, whether it be the rollout on social media, whether it be the actual products themselves, concepts behind the products, color palettes, everything from, it's just a whole bunch of decision making on how to turn concepts into reality, and then how's that packaged and given to like the world.
Okay.
That's basically art direction in a nutshell.
In a whole nutshell.
Yeah, in Joshua's nutshell.
In Joshua's nutshell.
Unstudy this stuff.
The fact that you didn't study it. Now, also considering that you didn't study it, how do you actually come up with those concepts? What do you draw from? What is your inspiration when you actually create, the concept of a?
I can fully say it's on God. Like,
all right,
like through and through. There's come a point in fact in this year, where I was dabbling on the edge of like burnout, right? And with that came creative block. One of the worst times of my life.
Yeah.
And there was a point where we were doing some brainstorming and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't know. I don't have the ideas.
You want too much from me.
Yeah. I'm not that guy, pal. I'm not that guy. Not today. And then literally like okay. Quick backstory. In college, I had this statement where I said, good ideas come one bad idea at a time. Right? So once you've gotten all of your nonsense out, eventually like good ideas come through when you break through that. And so what happened with the rollout was, bad ideas were
coming out.
A lot of bad ideas were coming out. And then literally after we hit like a really sweet spot, then so it was yours truly was the kind of concept, and then just like more and more flows from that. And we would end an idea session and I would just leave there like what? And yeah, a big part of me wants to say that's me, but I know for sure that's just a God thing, you know, like it gets to a point where it's low-key supernatural. Like it's low-key just this thing that's like,
it feels like that this was not me. This was someone else.
Yeah. It just slaps different,
right?
So yeah, that's my biggest and first and foremost, I definitely say it's on God. And then I believe in stealing like an artist.
Okay, let's hear that. You're a thief.
Yeah.
Let's hear this one.
Yes. Nothing is new, right?
Yeah.
There's a book actually out there that says nothing under the sun is new. Everything that's needed to be invented so far has been invented. Obviously, we see evolutions of certain things that come repackaged and certain stuff. But I look to the greats, like the greats. Virgil Abloh, obviously very big. A direct big influence of mine is also a guy by the name of Charles Metcalf.
Okay.
He used to be creative pastor for Transformation Church. I think now he's like vice pastor or something. Vice prefect.
Yeah.
And so Charles Metcalf is really dope. He's up there. Artists like Tyler the Creator. People that give other people stress. Yes.
So you also want to be those people?
Yes, I want to give you stress.
You want to give people stress. You want people's rest.
Kanye West. I said it.
You said it. You went there. That's what you did.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did it. Kanye West is a big influence. I can't lie. Like real talk. Those are probably, I'd say, top 3. Virgil, well, top 4. but top 3 would definitely be Virgil Abloh, Kanye West, Charles Metcalf.
Okay.
Those are like my biggest influences, and in a way, that's where I kind of draw my ideation from, draw my ability to think, or like the directions of how I think. And as well as, if you guys don't know about him, Daniel Arsham.
Okay.
He's the goat. He's crazy. He's crazy. Concepts are wild. But yeah. And then obviously like my social media, like that works for me. I don't know about y'all that are like trying to get away from Instagram. I'm trying to get into Instagram.
So taking fast and all of those things.
Yeah.
Like, what you do?
I mean, all due respect, like take your fast, bro. But like, I
yeah,
need
your
that.
juice is there.
That's where I get my like, yo. Hey.
So now, obviously, you've said, you draw on from a lot of artists. Where in your journey have you somehow stayed true to your aesthetic or your I don't want to say brand, but you that in as much as you've pointed out that okay, Kanye West is like this is person. Obviously, there's something inside of each and every one of them that this is them.
Yeah.
So how have you made sure that as much as you are inspired by what's out there internally, how have you identified that no, this is me?
Yeah. I think there's 2 ways to it. In all honesty, I still do feel like there will be remnants of your biggest influences, even them.
Yeah.
Like there will always be remnants of your biggest influences in how you execute ideas. That's the one side. On the other side, I think now more than ever, I've identified like who is Joshua as a creative, and what does that look like? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? What does he dress like? I think only now I can say the way that I've managed to kind of keep and stay true to myself is just constant like self-reflection. In all honesty, like I'm a very I can get from 0 to 100 in terms of like introspection very quickly. Like,
okay, that's good.
I can be transparent very, very quickly. It doesn't take a warm up and like to be in the space. Yeah, so there'd be random moments where like can be going for a walk and I'd literally like be thinking about, geez, my upbringing. You know, my relationships with family, relationships with friends. It is the world around us that becomes a reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
And I'm forever like just thinking about how do I see the world and how does the world see me. And so because of that constant, like I'm never like stagnant. So I'm always thinking about, am I still being true to myself? Am I still like the same Joshua of yesterday? And if not, how have I grown, or what's changed? What should I do better? So I think that's my thing. How I dress will always change according to like season. The music I make, currently I'm just in a phase of like big cinematic orchestra sounds. And that's currently, right? But that's through influences like Black Coffee and so because the execution is always changing, I think in order for me to be like the truest of who I am, I also need to be aware of how much am I always changing. And if it's for the good or if it's for the bad. And if it's for the bad, then fix it, you know? So yeah, I think that's probably like how I would say it. Do that, yeah.
Oh, hectic. So now obviously you've mentioned music. Hey now. Hey. And I've heard your music before, and I feel like every time you release something, I'm not gonna lie, they're all very different. Yeah. Not gonna lie. I mean, now I'm even hearing orchestra.
Yeah, guys, at this point I want to score a film.
You better.
I really do.
So now, what actually inspires you when you create your music now?
Yeah.
What do you draw from in your music space? Yeah.
What inspires me in my music? It's a mixture of things, right? A big part of it is just purely relationships in general, like the broad scheme of things, how I relate to people, and whether it be romantic, whether it be, friendships, relationships are probably like the biggest thing. And then it is, I'm gonna be superficial. Let me be cheap. It's just
You said
what's
cheap.
it's just
That's
what's
what
going
you
on.
said.
That's what I say.
That's what you said.
That's what I said. I'm trying to stress people out.
He said you're going to stress us. Now he's stressing us out. I'm sorry if he's stressed, but stress us away, sir.
No, like it's just what's cool. That's it's just what's cool. And then I think, how can I again, as what's cool, then how can I stress people out? That's how music happens for me.
Oh.
So right now, I remember 2018, 2019, Music is King.
Yeah.
Black Coffee comes to South Africa, invites the likes of Tom Mish and so many more. And this is like my first, big concert festival thing, whatever that was. And I'm like, cool, let me see Black Coffee. I want to see Black Coffee live. Guys, when I tell you I cried, I am wailing in the crowd. Like, wow. And so that feeling, I remember, I was like, I want to be a DJ. I want to make this music. And yeah, I was sold. And it just took me back because obviously, like, it's not like I listened to Black Coffee for the first time. I've been listening, like, surely you've been listening to Black Coffee, for a while. And it took me back to high school where he had dropped a live album that he recorded in Durban, if I'm not mistaken. And in this live album, he's got this massive orchestra behind him, playing with him while he's on the decks. And that's when I was like, I want in. And so from 2018, 2019, whenever Music is King became my like drive to get into making Afrotech, and then cinematic Afrotech became a thing for me. Then I was like, so how can I blend strings and orchestra and stuff into like dance music? And that's become my kind of like, that's my biggest trend right now. And then they are just random times where like, I'll make a random like proper trap beat or something that's just like destructive. But my current theme for now has been along the lines of like alternative, cinematic dance-ish music. Stuff I'm currently working on is a very big blend of still we've got the cinematic orchestra stuff, but then it's a bit of like Afro pop-ish. And then the writing is very like the writing is very poetic.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna be out here with the snapping of the fingers.
Type chats.
Listen.
Legit.
You better.
Hey man, you better snap your fingers to my music, man. You better snap your fingers. You do something wrong. Listen with both ears.
Listen with both ears. You better. So now, obviously, it sounds like you're very much, you don't limit yourself in your creativity. I think what you've said, like you don't even limit yourself in what you do, but even in your music, you don't limit yourself. But how do you ever at any point actually involve God inside that process of creating? Or is there space to do it? Or how has that been in your life? Because I know you said in your art directing, you actually bring, as you said, you bring God into it. How do you make sure that in your music, God is also in there?
It's a good question. A very good question. Reason I say, I think that how music has become a bit of a ministry to music specifically, right? How music's become a bit of a ministry for me is also, it is my gateway for conversation. So the common trend in the music that I make is, as it's being inspired by relationship, it's always being inspired upon the reflection of where God was in that relationship. And so if he wasn't there, the result thereof is
whatever song is
pits.
Mess.
Absolute pits. And
chaos.
You know what I'm saying? And so as much, it's just getting wet.
It getting worse. You don't have the capacity.
Exactly. And so Oh, yeah. So I write that and I make the music of what that felt like being far away from him. But I know I remember one of my mentors at one point said, it is essential to make sure that like no song that's ever written leaves whoever at that place. It should always point directly back to.
Oh, yeah.
So even if said song is about a breakup that happened,
you can't stay there at the break.
You can't stay there. I'll be transparent and say, no, it's about this gal.
She did this.
She
it's the tears for me.
Yeah, you know? And then, but in said song, there must be some point of like, so I flopped God and you're far. You know? And I must bring that up to saying like, or to mention some kind of, I've realized this whole time there's emptiness without you. So it's not necessary. I'm not necessarily like writing worship songs per se. But the relationships always circulate around like where I am in proximity, or where said person in the concept of the song is in proximity to God. So there are the songs like, for example, These Nights is I wrote a rock song. And so These Nights is basically a song about, actually inspired by one of the kids that I mentor. And she was telling me how like things are not really cool at home. And I wrote about what it feels like to step out of that room, step out of your four walls of like being blocked away from the world. And the moment you step out, what solitude feels like with not only friends, but like where God resides.
Yes.
That's what These Nights is centered around. And so, there's traces of like connection and relationship to God in my music, but it's not like blatant.
Yeah, it's not as overt. Shucks. No, I really love that thought of, you might be starting the song at one point, let's say breakup, but you can't leave that person
You
there.
can't.
And I think that's the thing with me. I listen to music. I'm not gonna lie, I do listen to music, and a lot of music, but I don't listen to any kind of music anymore. Simply because of that. Sometimes you can find the artist somewhere, and they just leave you
stay there. Now you're busy. She's not there. Told me like, move, dog.
Right.
Yeah, pick her.
Right. It's exactly that. Like I've always been very careful with music for me, in that I remember seeing this one quote. It said, music has the power of entering your soul without permission.
100%. Yeah.
Without permission. And so for me, I've always been very careful with whatever songs can come. But it's nice that you're saying that you, in a way, you lace God inside of it. And for me, I've always felt that it's always at the inception of it.
Sure.
You know, but even the thought of, you don't just say, I'm just expressing myself, because I feel like a lot of artists are doing that. They're just saying, I'm expressing myself, which is great.
Yeah.
But I think in what I'm gauging from you is that you still think about the audience.
100%.
You're not just saying, this is just me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
But you're actually still saying, okay, cool. But so how have you really considered keeping in mind your audience? Do you have a target market? Do you feel like you have? I know you are directly. I'm speaking your language. I think.
Yeah. You go, girl. You got it. Yeah. You got it. Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a target market that you're focused on when you are creating, or do you just say this is for anybody and everyone?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you are trying to speak to the Gen Zers, or do you feel like you're speaking to the millennials? Because I know you, like what you've said, you've really broadened your craft. So do you feel like you have a specific people that you direct your music?
Here's the thing. It's a bit of a catch-22. And here's why. So I would want to say, like, my typical target market would be the Gen Zers, right? Like, it would be the kids that I mentor, the kids that look to me and they're like that guy? That guy's great. Like,
I want to be just like him.
Yeah. Typically that would, if I had to write this in a test, that's what I write down, right? But what I found of recent, and it's just testament to even social media, is that like everybody has different iterations of the same problem.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Mm.
right? So as much as that 7-year-old broke up with a 7-year-old and like their heart is crushed and they hate the world, like you know what it feels like to be rejected. Rejection is a theme that the whole of humanity across every age can relate to. You know what I'm saying? So I would say my actual target market would probably be like Gen Zers, but what's great and what's powerful about music is that it really it's to everybody and anybody, right? Um, it is not in. I mean, in comparison to what's out there, it's pretty crazy as well because we have 7-year-olds listening to Travis Scott talking about girls shaking their bums.
Out here in the bums,
Huh?
man.
Come on, bruh.
Still there.
Now your 7-year-old is busy doing Orlando to do make me sweat. What? You're 7. What are you talking about?
No.
What? Well, that sweat came from running?
Running from playing that sport.
Huh?
It better be from soccer.
No, which one are we talking about?
Which one is it?
So, it's very scary because like all age groups are listening to the same music. Like literally. So my target market would be the kids to obviously like they're up next, right? You know, that's my thing. I want to be able to make stuff in general that would get them to say, if I'm up next, then I can too. You know, like I wouldn't want them to look and be like, nah, that's too far out of reach. I can't. Or I don't have the capacity or the skill set. I can't. Sure, I'm not saying that like everybody's gonna be a great artist, but I am saying like the music and everything that I make in general, I want for them to be able to look and just say, oh, I can too. You know, that's why if the mix is bad, skis guys, I don't know how to mix. I just turn a bunch of like
knobs.
press button. Yeah,
It's trying to make sense. It's just trying to make it make sense.
And if it sounds nice, then it sounds nice. I put that out. And so let that be the mandate for everybody that follows after me. So in the music capacity and just in creation in general, that's kind of my heart towards it. Whoever follows after, let their eyes like, you know, let them pay attention. But then let it not be bound to just like that target market. Let it be, you know, easy and relatable to all. Yeah.
So now, obviously, you said the word, let that be me too.
Sure.
And you've also said, you really stand for social media.
Hey.
How have you, obviously, like we started quite a lot of things, you know, young people are listening to things that the older people are listening to. And obviously in this day and age, young people are watching what the older people are watching.
It'd be like that. That thing says, are you 18?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. You're not 18.
So how have you navigated social media in a way that says, because you've just also said that you're a leader earlier on. How have you navigated your career, social media? Obviously, you know, best place to put on your music and be seen and known is there, especially because, you know, Gen Zers. How have you navigated that whole social media space in a way that is allowing that purpose of yours, which is let that be me too?
Sure. I generally do see social media, or specifically, I think Instagram is literally the only thing, unless if you want an account, if you are one of those and wants to count WhatsApp as social media, then okay, I'm sorry. But WhatsApp yeah, I really don't know. But Facebook, what? So whatever.
It's another month of that one.
Hey. But so with Instagram, firstly, I have one channel, right? Like one channel of social media. I only operate on Instagram.
Okay.
So number one for me, that's already like the biggest difference to why like I love my social media. And then number two, I believe I've curated the stuff that I follow and everybody that I follow. I've curated it. I'm very stingy with my follows.
Okay.
Can't lie.
All right.
This thing of you followed me and I must follow you
Follow you
back.
back.
Attitude. Please.
Yeah, that person will just watch you.
Nah,
Like,
no,
you
you'll
decided
watch
to bring
me, dog.
yourself here.
Sincerely. Now I must come to you and look at you. Please, dog. Now your photos also look like you shot them in front. Anyways. Huh? Shot them on a 3310.
Man is out of the aesthetic. You better come through with your aesthetic.
Please. I want aesthetics. Now you shot your thing on a 3310. Go away. Go away. Get out of here for real, mate. But how I've found, so firstly, after curating it, making sure that like whatever is in there is stuff that like fills my cup, and also challenges me. I believe I want to be able to both see my social media as also a little bit of a form of curation. So there's an aesthetic that I want for me, right? Like, I want
that for me.
Yeah, for me, guys, please.
Sorry, guys.
And then on the other side, like you said, being a leader and all, I also do need to recognize that I'm responsible for whoever I influence. And I think that's across the board, guys. Like, we're responsible for the influence we have on each other.
Legit.
Right? From your 20 followers all the way up to your 50,000. You are responsible for the fact that people are watching you. You know, one of my most favorites of all time, favorites, did I say sermons?
No, I didn't say so.
One of my favorite sermons of all time was a teaching done by, I see him as a like mentor-ish figure.
Okay.
A guy by the name of Clive Nyakudzi. And he did a teaching called The Prisoners Are Watching. And I remember like that sermon changed my life. And it was just from the perspective that like, dude, everywhere you go, you have, you might just be the only Bible that people get to, you know, you've heard that quote before. And it's just like, dude, be responsible for the influence that you have. Like, everybody's watching. There's people begging for the freedom of their souls, the freedom of their emotions. They want to be free. And because we're so focused on like trying to catch up with Mang Mang next door or what else we've seen, we become so like focused on how good do we look in our individuality that we forget that there's also responsibility to the influence you have. So I guess what I'm saying is it's two ways, right? Like, firstly, I use my social media for me, like how I want to create it, how I want to, you know, take pictures of like the recent fits and show my work. But then I'm also cognizant of what I share and like how people can see. I want them to see a consistent me, but then also recognize where that comes from. So let me not be ashamed to, you know, be able to speak out on certain things that I feel I've got a place to speak. That's another thing. We don't always have a place to speak.
Yeah. It's very true. It's true.
Huh? Because Mang broke up with Mark, it's not your place.
Yeah, it's not your place.
Anyways. But let me also be responsible for being able to spread word, to be able to point back, similar to the music, to be able to point back to the Father, right? Like, point back to where I got all of this from in the first place.
Yeah.
Let me give all the credit where credit is due. And so, yeah, that's, I hope that translates enough in my Instagram, in my social media.
So now, yeah. So like, as you've said also, you hope that what you've translated in your social media, how do you have you ever found yourself translating God wherever you are? Like, I'm sure the space that you work in is somewhat corporate.
Yeah.
How have you made sure that as you are journeying and still being creative, have you been vocal?
Yeah.
About it? Are you scared, or
No,
are you
no.
like, Jonga, Jesus saved my life?
No, sincerely.
Yeah,
God challenged me recently, actually. So I've been at Missing Link now for 4 years. And in the 4 years, it just got to a point where everybody knew, like, nah, that's the Christian guy. Homeboy, you know, like, there was the typical stereotypes around like, oh, he doesn't swear, he doesn't drink, he doesn't, and like rightly so. I'm not pressed by any stereotypes, whatever, dude. But of recent, there came a time where literally in this last year where God challenged me in saying like, dude, so when you gonna say something? Because people now, not just like missing link, like the corporates, and as people grow up obviously and go into jobs and stuff, you'll see people don't give a flying fish about like being able to use the Lord's name in vain, or people really like it's trendy or something. And God really pressed on my heart like to be able to stand up for him and to stand for like my faith, guys. Like guys, I get teary-eyed in recognizing.
It's fine. You be like that sometimes.
I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, stick to it, sir.
Teary-eyed in
We'll tell you and at you at that one when it finally comes to that dictionary.
I get teary-eyed in recognizing.
Let's stick with it. Let's go.
In recognizing how
Recognizing
how God's grace, how really wild it is, right? Like, and what it's done for me, in my own capacity of recognizing, like, I'm not always that guy, in my relationship with God, in my personal relationship with God. Like, dude, I've let this guy down, bruh. I have definitely been the prodigal son, and on loop. Like, I've played that album on loop.
Yeah. It's real. It's real.
And every time, upon pressing back in, just standing there with arms wide open, like God still stands there to receive, right? That love is wild. And so, like, when grasping the power of that revelation, and when grasping how much it should mean to you, obviously, dude, I can't just sit here and like watch how you guys are just slandering something that means so much to me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this year, it became a topic, and yo, best believe, on camera there, I'm like, yeah, this it, below camera. And that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
I've also gotten to the point where I'm tired now. Like, it's boring, dude. It's boring. The fact that like anybody anywhere can stand up for what they believe in, except for their faith in Christianity. If it is a faith in someone else,
all of a sudden,
it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
All of a Sunday, right? Like, it's a lot easier to speak about your faith in constellations that detect your future. No shade, right? It's a lot easier to speak about like how these stones have given you peace. I'm wilding now. I'm wilding. My point is, I'm tired of it. Hey, like, I'm just tired of being scared to talk about like, dude, what God has done for me, whether you believe it or not. I'm done. And so in corporate, that's become a big thing for me to be able to stand firm on my faith, not because of what people think, but genuinely because of how much like it matters to me, dude. Like, my life has changed. Like, how do you not cry? How do you not like, how's your mind not blown at recognizing that there's a reality behind a relationship, an intimate relationship with God? There's a realness. It's almost like a no-brainer. You know what I'm saying? So I waffled a lot, but I feel like you got the point.
You gave us some coins, you gave us some wisdom, you dropped a whole lot there. And it reminded me of even when I was in varsity, all of a sudden I was in a very creative space because I was in theatre and performance. And it dawned on me in that space, surrounded by a lot of artists, that it seemed as if not believing in God, not believing in anything was a cool thing. It was like a trend, and I was like, this is so confusing.
Yeah.
And I found myself also asking that question of like, do I keep quiet about God? Do I not? And I realized it's actually very dangerous, because when I started just being like, you know what, God is my God, and just said,
Yeah.
you can be so surprised how many people are actually watching you.
Yeah.
But imagine if you actually kept quiet.
Yeah.
Those opportunities of people actually finding God
Yeah.
can be missed.
Yeah.
And I realized that if you keep quiet, no matter where you are, you mightn't miss out on those God opportunities. So, it's good.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that you actually are like, I'm sick and tired, but also like, how can you not talk about
Sincerely.
this beautiful, amazing God that's really accepting you time and time and again every time you return.
And I want to challenge, like, maybe I propose that it should be a case of, if you are at that place where maybe it's not your personality or something like that, I propose that you really do self-introspect, and see what has God done for you. Like, do you have a solid revelation on your relationship? And the jig is like, I'm also in the current capacity of saying, dude, I can show you, and you can ask me how to be able to enjoy this side of life. But if you don't want, if you where you're at are saying, nah, I'm cool, bro, what? I'm not letting you go. I'm not saying cool, sharp, faded, bye. I'm not letting you go. I just want to have a conversation and say why, and that's it. Like, I want to ask why more than I want to give answers, because I think that's also a side. It's a side part that, like, I think Christians are not so good at doing. We're always here to
do it. Bible.
And I would rather ask why than I'd say. You know, like, if you are not comfortable with God, the concept thereof, why?
And it reminded me of this one guy. He made a statement saying, questions lead to a conversation, but statements lead to an argument.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
And crazy thing, like, it's a perfect segue into realizing, like, even now, biblically, Jesus asked more questions. Like, Jesus was just curious, bro. Like, it was just a matter of questions. People ask him questions and he answers with a question. And it's because of that thing, number one, of being able to help and guide you to realizing your own answers, type chat, with him being the guide. But then at the same time, like you said, like, questions bring conversation more than argument.
And I think it's that thing of, I think questions also allow you to meet the person where they are.
That's so good. I would rather.
Because I think that's what Jesus did with the woman at the well. He was basically saying, okay, he already knew, but essentially he's going on a journey of getting to where she was at.
That's so good, yeah.
And I think perhaps that's where people actually be more receptive.
Yeah.
If you actually take the time to get to where they are.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just saying, I'm a person, it's going to be strife, it's going to be struggle.
Strife and division. Again, right, it's to each their own. There do be those that are called to that type of ministry and feel like if you're effective.
That's true.
If you're effective, love it. I'm just a conversationalist.
There you go.
I want to know people's stories. I'm scared now.
You should, you know?
Okay, here we go. Even if it doesn't lead to Christ in that moment.
Yeah. It could be at the start. You were sweating there.
Please take that with lots of salt. Like,
I don't mean that being...
That's not biblical. But, like, I want to build conversation and relationship in light of how God has called us to be all things to all men, right? Paul writes about that. Yes. He does, though, I promise you.
Go read it.
But yeah, in light of being all things to all men, and also being called to go into the world, be in the world but not of, you know, I I want to push conversation. I want to push understanding, and also want to push mutual understanding, right? Like, also, you don't shut off when I start talking my faith, bro. I'm not gonna slap it in your face, dude. But like, don't shut off. Now you're busy. Yes. Oh, you Christians all think that. I don't know where that accent comes from.
It came through.
But yeah, that's my heart. I think I would love to have conversation, and also hard conversations, right? Like, I don't want to be scared of having the hard conversations in a space that warrants it too. I think, again, we need to be selective of where we have certain conversations. You can't be having conversations that require a deep understanding of a journey to walk in a public space when there's 5 different opinions, and then there's things like semantics, how people interpret what you're saying, semantics that need to be taken into consideration, all this kind of stuff. You guys are going to hurt each other, and then you're going to end up with strife and division all over again. You know what I'm saying? So I would much rather draw to a place of being able to build a relationship and then sit down. It doesn't even have to be a relationship, but I want to sit down and then talk. And then like you're saying, I want to meet you at your place as you mutually meet me at mine. I believe that there's more chance for life transformation and revelation in that. Yeah, so where there is conversation, I think there's a lot more space for that revelation, especially of who Jesus can be in their lives. I think that's a vital point as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, because now the younger people are your people, and it's the people that are your target market, what advice would you give to them? What is the best advice that you've received, and what would you give to the younger person?
Best advice I received was from my brother Simon. Shout out to Simon. Simon Love Warehouse Worldwide, you already know.
Young shout out,
yes, sincerely, shameless plug. Also subscribe.
Subscribe and like. You
Straight away. Simon taught me create and release. Those 3 words literally changed the trajectory of my creative abilities, and also how, full stop. Create and release was purely based off of the fact that, like, you just never know who needs to hear what you have. And that's it. If you can fall in love with creating for the audience of one more than you fall in love with the comparison of many, as a creative, it not only is liberating so that you get out of your head and like you finally put that project out that you really wanted to. Number 2, you also start realizing, like, guys, there's no rules to this thing, dog. Like, just because I didn't make beats that go like, just because my beats go like that doesn't mean it's not music. You know what I'm saying? Again, how good it is can become subjective, but purely out of the basis of creating something, being able to birth it and let it go. Create and release is one of the best things that I've ever learned. Let go of your stuff, and then keep getting better. You know, rather, I saw this piece of advice on Instagram that says, rather when you start off with quantity, then you'll develop the quality. You know, like, it's fine, bruh. Like, it's not good, it's cool. You're not the same as everybody else. So yeah, create and release, the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. Advice I'd give to everybody else, I would say, above all else, let love lead, right? It's become my life mantra. And when the Bible says God is love, then you start understanding that sentence even deeper. Let love lead, but let God lead too. You know, letting love lead doesn't just mean you leave people where they're at. It also means you draw them to a place of, like, transformation. And so, yeah, let love lead. And I think I would definitely push to have, like, just conversate more, and then push collaboration, guys. Put each other on, please. Like,
that
This thing of trying to
do it alone.
Yeah, do it alone. Buzz off.
That's
bruh.
a lie.
I'm self-made. Buzz off.
Made him like,
Buzz off.
please,
Buzz off. Buzz off.
child.
Collaboration is the future. It's been the future for like I don't know how long. It's just it is it. Don't do this thing alone. That's boring. Collaborate, make friends, put each other on, support each other.
Come on.
It's a reshare. That's you don't like your people's stuff. It is also okay if your friends don't like your stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It is okay, true.
Yeah.
Right? Support looks different. This is new. This is coming to me as I'm speaking. It is, and it's another conversation for creatives. It is okay for your friends not to like your stuff, bruh. It is okay for you not to like what your friends do. Like, maybe it's just not your style.
Yeah.
Maybe it isn't. But it does not negate the lack of support. But also communicate that support looks different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, recognizing support looks different is an important thing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Joshua. Thank you so much for accepting the invite and actually coming through and dropping a whole lot of wisdom.
Amen.
A whole lot of nuggets. We really definitely appreciate you for being here. And yeah, what can we look forward to in the future if you can tell us? If you can tell us.
Keep your eyes peeled, tuned, whatever. Stay tuned to Daydreamers Incorporated, Daydreamers Inc. on YouTube. So that's DAYDREAMRSINK. RZ. Daydreamers Incorporated on YouTube. It's my new thing.
Come on.
So there's more coming there. I am planning to drop a 2-song EP pretty soon as well. A 2-part EP is coming soon. Mikhail Matthews, we're dropping a new collection soon.
It's a lot of stuff.
Into next year. So keep your eyes peeled on that. And then yeah, I think that's it. I think that rebrand coming soon.
All right.
Yeah, big rebrand. I'm planning that for next year. But those are probably like the biggest things. YouTube and music and Mikhail Matthews. That's pretty much it.
You guys heard it from him. Go support those things. And as you've heard, collaborate.
Sincerely.
Collaborate. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, Simba.
No, sincerely, this cat really just pulled up and I was like, so we just go.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I was like, Simba.